I've noticed a lot of people in Conan Exiles seem to struggle with building hidden bases. They either don't consider it as a possibility, or they just can't seem to do it very well. Well, I've been playing the game for more than a year solo now, so I've picked up a couple tools of the trade that'll help you stay hidden. This video here will be broken up into 5 segments, starting with why. Why would you want to build a hidden base, and what advantages are there to it, and maybe some of the disadvantages too. Secondly, I want to discuss my preferred layout. Now, this isn't necessarily where I would put a base, but this is the layout I would put in the space that I've chosen. Third, I would like to go into what makes a good hidden base. There's traits that are necessary to make a good hidden base, and I want to go over them. Fourth, I want to go out, find an example, and show you how it would look in the field and what about the specific spot makes me choose it. And fifth, I would like to show a couple miscellaneous tips and pieces of information I wish I had known going into building a hidden base that would have saved me a lot of time. Now, I would recommend building a hidden base for any people who do not outnumber the biggest clan on the server, because anyone that is less than the biggest clan on the server will not be able to compete with them, and you won't be able to defend a base conventionally. This means you're going to have to go hidden. Building a hidden base allows you to accrue a bunch of resources so that you could go out and try to fight the bigger clan, take them down, then you can live in an actual base. Or what I've been doing, I simply live in a hidden base and I just go out and I try to PvP, I try to mess with the big clans just to have a little bit of fun on the server, and I don't worry about having to build up, just worry about making resources and building kits. And in terms of the pros and cons, I've gathered 3 pros and 3 cons that I find to be most significant about each. For pros, we have low maintenance. You don't have to really do anything to keep the base going, you just have it there. You don't have to worry about offline raids because you don't have to defend it, and it takes very minimal resources to set up. Now, in terms of cons, we have once you're found, you're basically done for. Then we have no opportunity to defend the actual base. And for third, some larger structures like animal pens and shrines are not an option because you can't effectively hide something that large. Please keep in mind, this is just a layout. This isn't a place where you should build your base. It's just purely for display purposes here. And I understand this might be controversial with some people, but when I build a hidden base, I don't like to put walls around it. When you build a hidden base, you have to be able to pick up your bags and move them at the drop of a hat. Building structures just makes it longer to set up, giving you much less effective time to actually work, and makes it actually harder for you to set up your base. I've also found a nice little benefit with these structures is if it's off raid timer and someone visits your base and finds it, they'll usually take something you have lying around in these crafting stations. This means when you log on, you can check event log and see if somebody has visited the base, which will allow you advance warning to leave and pack your bags. Now you'll notice I have all my crafting pieces clustered together. This makes it just easy to move around and craft them. But you'll notice actually over to the left, I have foundations with some sort of weird wrap around them. This is fence foundation pieces, and the reason I even have these foundations in the first place is without them the structure decays in a couple of hours. But if I put these foundations down, I can bring that up to 12 hours, and then if I wrap the foundations in fence foundations, this gives me a couple of days worth of time. Now upgrade this up from sandstone if this is a spot you feel confident in, and this will allow you to have possibly up to weeks in a hidden spot. One of the other important things to note about this base is I will not actually keep my valuables in there, such as explosive powder or thralls or anything else I'm trying to really hold on to. I usually keep throwaway or crafting stuff here, and I'll have a super hidden chest somewhere off where it's very difficult to find, and I'll put my valuables in there. So usually in this crafting base, if someone were to find it and blow it while you're gone, you should only lose minimal items and should be able to start back up from a hidden chest you have somewhere else. Now, when looking at a hidden base, I like to think of it in 3 factors. Now these are influenced both by the place where it is built and the actual layout of the base. These three factors are how well hidden the base is. This is obvious, you're trying to stay out of sight. How expendable a base is. This means if you lost the base this very moment, how much would you actually lose? Would you be able to get back going, or would you be completely screwed and have to start from scratch? And then I also have ease of use. A base is no good if it takes you 5 minutes to get to it and is incredibly difficult to use. When thinking about if a spot is hidden and if you should put your base there, you have to consider placement. Think of things like obelisks, rare resource spawns, rare creature spawns, thrall spawns, and generally well-traveled roads. Go to the places that you have no reason to be in because there's nothing there, and look and see if you can find a hidden little platform that you can put a base on. In terms of making sure your base stays expendable, you have to make sure you're near an area that you can hide a chest very well in, that you could basically put your life on. You're putting everything in here. If this chest gets found, you're left with nothing. Your base can get found, but this chest cannot get found. So it's very important you choose somewhere nobody will find it. I cannot stress this enough. When considering your base's ease of use, think about how easily you can gather resources and process them throughout your base. So consider factors like, is it hard to get into your base? Do you have to climb up a very long rock, pass through a very dangerous area, or go through some really rough conditions to get to it? These are going to hurt your speed of crafting and generally accessing your base. You then also have to think, are all the crafting stations within a reasonable distance of each other? If you have them thrown around through a large area, it's going to become very tedious to craft even simple items. And then finally, you have to consider, and this is a little risky, but it's necessary to get anything done, are you within reasonable distance of an obelisk? Because at the end of the day, you're still going to be crafting things, so you still need to be able to get to places like the brimstone spawns or the hide spawns. You don't want to be stuck in your little hole. So I've gone out just now, spent a couple of minutes, and I found a decent spot where you could hide a base. I didn't want to use any of the spots that I actually personally use because I'm still trying to keep those for myself, and I really like them, but I was able to find this one pretty quickly, and I feel decently confident that you'd be able to stay here for a couple of days before you get found. And so long as you have your secret chest, you should be fine. Now my confidence in this area comes from the fact that there's really no resources nearby and there's no reasons to come by it. There's also a good amount of bushes surrounding it, so it's fairly hard to see, and it's up on a little cliff that you have to climb up on, in an area that people don't tend to go. And keep in mind, don't try searching around for spots that other people know. The only truly hidden spot is only the one that you know about. Now, I've taught you basically everything I could in a timely fashion about building a hidden base and keeping it hidden. So I'd like to just leave you with a couple of miscellaneous tips that I think you really need to hear, but I couldn't really fit anywhere else in the video. The most important thing, and the thing that basically this whole section is made for, is whenever you're heading back to base, make sure you are not being followed. This has really screwed me over once before because I was planning for a big raid, and the clan I planned on raiding just followed me back. I never really thought about looking behind me. So always watch your back, because they're gonna try to follow you. They can't find your base any other way. The other thing is, big clans really aren't as invincible as they seem. A lot of the times they have ring rust. They haven't been in a PvP fight in forever. They're very easy kits to take, and sometimes it is just fun to poke and prod at them. Also, if possible, avoid peak hours. Activity in your base is more likely to be found, especially if you're going in and out of your base. It's more likely that someone just casually observes you going into that area more commonly. If you can avoid peak hours, people are less likely to see you heading towards your base. And most importantly of all, just remember to have fun. That's why you're playing after all, isn't it? If you watched this far into the video, I hope you've learned something interesting, if not helpful. If you've enjoyed the video, please do subscribe or like. It goes a long way. I'm trying to grow my channel here. Currently 6 subscribers. It's a grind, but if you could help me out, I would appreciate it.